This is the second video for Chapter 4. This one will focus on reports. Reports is basically an object in Access that has nicely formatted information, I guess you would say. The intent would be for someone then to print this as a hard copy so they could distribute it to management or any other users in the company who want this particular data formatted nicely. I say formatted nicely. A lot of times if a user or manager just wanted some raw information, they could quickly do a query and get the information they wanted, just display it on the screen, and that would be fine. However, if the intent is to print it, make it look like a nice document, a nice report, then you would go ahead and create what's called a report in Access. Okay, to create a report, there's several ways you can do it in Access. You can see up here I have clicked the Create tab. I still have the H34 H1 coffee for the hands-on exercises. This is hands-on exercise 3 and 4 toward the end of the chapter. But I'm going to create a report here by clicking the Create tab. And I'm just going to click on this Report button. There's other ways you can. You can go to Report Design and a blank report. Those kind of start you with a blank canvas and you have to create it from scratch. That would be for an advanced programmer, someone who's made a lot of reports in the past could start with a blank one and create exactly what they wanted. The report wizard would lead you through a series of screens to help you get what you wanted. Labels are a special report, but what I'm going to show you is just clicking on the report button. That will give you a basic report for whatever table you have highlighted here. So I got the products table highlighted. Click Create. I'm going to click Report. You can see you have a basic report here. This is again what's called Layout View right here. I can again tell that because some of these dash lines around here, I could make some layout changes, some basic layout changes to this report in this mode. You have, it's similar to a form. You have a nice header section up here. You have some product or some column headings and a detailed section where all your data shows up from the table and so forth. I'll talk about the different sections of the report a little bit later, and we'll go to Design View for that. But right now in Layout View here, I think I want to show you one thing that I think is important. If you look over here, you can see a dashed line along up vertically. It's going right through a field here, and you'll notice there's actually some information beyond that. That's important because that's really the end of the page. Now remember, the intent is to print this. You don't want your data to be going over to a new page from left to right. That looks really bad, actually. So you want to try to get it to fit all on one line, one record worth of data to fit on one line of the report without spilling over to the next page. Looks really bad. Believe me, when you print it, it doesn't look good. But one easy way to get a lot of space here is it defaults here to Portrait View. You can change the page setup by clicking on Page Setup here in the ribbon. Change the Landscape View. Of course, that turns the paper on its side. And now you can see there's no more line here, but it still didn't get all the data. You still have some problem with data not fitting left to right horizontally across the screen. Let me show you a couple things that you can do to help solve that. Here, I'm going to scroll back over to the right. A couple things to look for is, look at this refrigeration needed area. It just has a little check mark. It's wasting a lot of space. You can come in here, click on the label, and you can change. Maybe you can just say refridge with a question mark. Now you can make that smaller and save some space left or right. You could also do that with this brand field looks like the data, it allowed a lot more space than what's needed. So you can scroll that over. See how I'm getting things to fit. I still have a little bit left over here. A little bit left to get over onto this page without having to spill over to another page. And so you would keep doing those kinds of things until you get everything to fit. You could also delete a field if there was a field that, say, someone decided they really didn't need here. You could delete a field. For instance, I think the textbook might have you delete this year introduced field. If you choose it, hit the delete key, and now everything's going to fit. So that's an important concept here in reports, is to get things to fit right. So there'll be some hands-on activities to do that. Okay, so a lot of things you can do here. Let me talk about I'm going to go back and click the design tab here. I'm going to go to a different view. Now remember, this was layout view where you can do certain layout activities. I'm going to go to design view. Here it looks a lot different. There's several different sections to a report as opposed to a form. There's a report header. You can see that right here. That shows up on the top of the first page of the entire report. They have a title here. They have the date and time. All that can be changed. You can put in your own title. Then there's a page header section. This is basically the column headings for the fields that are on the report. So the page header then is at the top of each page of the report, as opposed to the report header that's only at the top of the first page of the entire report. The detail section, even though it looks small here in design view, this is probably the biggest part of the report when it actually runs, because that's when the data, you get a line for each record of data that comes in from your record source. The page footer, that shows up on the bottom of every page, and they put the page number on there for you. And there's something called a report footer. That shows up at the bottom of the last page of the report. All these sections can be modified. You can make them bigger, smaller. You can add things to them, whatever you would like. So there's five main sections to a report. You can see them here. If you start adding groupings, like to get subtotals and things on your report, then you'll end up with more sections. So a report can get pretty complex. When you do the hands-on exercises and you do some grouping levels, pay attention and go in and look at the different sections or the different areas of the report in this design mode. You'll see there's a few more added when you start doing grouping levels and subtotals. Okay, so that's the design area. This is where you do detailed design work. You can do different colors, highlight certain things. Some really nice features in there that the hands-on exercises will have you do. There's also something called, so we looked at layout view and design view. There's report view and print preview. They're pretty much the same thing. Print preview will show you exactly what it looks like on paper. I'll just do that. And you can see what the report looks like. This is going to be 2 pages. You can scroll the pages. And, I don't think I got my horizontal stuff working very good because I had a little bit left there on that second page. So yeah, this is print preview mode. Like I said, it'll show you exactly what it's going to look like on paper. So you'll want to look at this mode and get it looking exactly like you want before you say you're finished with it. I'm going to close print preview. And I'm going to go to what's called the report view. This looks a lot like print preview mode, except there's no page numbers. It just acts as if it's one big page. So there's not a big difference between those two. Okay, so that's really all I want to talk about on this video as far as reports. Of course, I still suggest strongly to do the hands-on exercises, which finish up on page 282. There's a couple hands-on exercises to do that. So this concludes the second video for Chapter 4. See you next week.